Okay. Hi, everyone. I hope you are listening. I hope the sound is correct. So my name is Claire. I work for the Club des villes et territoires cyclables. It's a French organization which is gathering cities and local communities to promote the use of cycling in cities and all around France. And so recently in France, a new initiative was launched. It's named Indemnité kilométrique vélo in French. So it's cycling kilometric allowance. And that's what I'm going to explain you about. So let's just, I'm going to share my screen so that you have the presentation. I hope it works. Yeah. Okay. So just maybe about my organization. So as I told you, we are a network of cycling-friendly cities. Since 2012, we manage a parliamentary group for cycling. So MPs help us to promote cycling in the national law. And in 2016, we funded a platform of industrial and NGOs. We called it Cycling Made in France. I'm going to talk about it later. So what is this bike kilometric allowance? It's kind of new. It exists since February 2016. And yeah, wait. I'm trying to put my screen complete. I don't know if this works. And wait. Okay. And so it's 0.25 euros per kilometer for employees who go by bike to work. So this is possible only for voluntary companies in the private sector and for the officials of the Ministry of Sustainable Development and the Ministry of Housing. And this is not compulsory yet, but voluntary companies can pay their employees for biking to work. That's the idea, basically. And how does it work? This is free of charges for employers and free of taxation for employees for a maximum of 200 euros per year. It doesn't mean you get only 200 euros. You can get more, but you will pay taxes on the money you get. And for those who use bike to go to the nearest public transport station, this bike allowance, kilometric allowance, can be cumulated with the public transport reimbursement, because in France, you get 50% of your public transport paid back by your company when you have a public transport network where you live. And why did France decided to introduce this? Because an experimentation was conducted in 2014 in 18 companies. And we've seen that the number of bike commutes in these companies was increased by 50%. And the number of cyclists was doubled. And of course, you have all the reason why it is good for companies to promote cycling. So it helps to reduce absenteeism. It has many health benefits. I'm sure you know studies about it. It improves well-being. People arrive on time, and they are less stressed. They are less sick, and there's many other reasons. And my organization, decided to create an observatory of this measure to collect data and share good practices with companies, because it is brand new and companies don't really know how to implement it. So they need advices. They need to know who has done it before, how does it work, how do they account this in the general management of the company. So we also gather arguments to make this mandatory and to introduce it in the public service, because yet people working for the administration cannot get this if people in the public service cannot be paid to go by. And sorry, I see the question of José in my iPhone. So the number of commute was increased by 50%. Yeah. And so since we launched this observatory, 29 companies got involved. So it's a little bit more than 10,000 employees. It's only 211 recipients of the IKV. It's not much, yeah, but companies need time because they have to negotiate with trade unions, and yeah, it's going to be better in a few months. And you have all sizes of company, like a big network of electricity, which is 8,500 employees, and also small NGOs like the one I quote in the PowerPoint, Velocity, which is only 2 employees. Yeah, maybe I go back to the screen. I don't know if there are questions. Yes, no. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay, so let me now answer to the question, the one about the cost benefits. So what we did is that we took many studies. So we did kind of an argumentation to promote this indemnity. I can send you the document later. It's in French. So we took data from many studies. There is one which was done in 2010 by French Ministry of Environment, showing that cycling reduced the risk of diabetes and all the risk of well, I forget the name, but the illness which are caused by not moving, basically. So I cannot quote the hit now because it's a big study, but we know that cycling can reduce the risk of this. And we also have studies showing that people biking to work are less, well, they are more on time than those going by car, of course, because you don't suffer from the congestion and you don't need to find a park place. So that's figures we have. And what else? We also, well, that's not really scientific, but during this experimentation, we asked people about how they feel in the company, and we compared those who bike to work and those who use public transport or their car. And we realized that people biking to work are more happy in the company. They socialize more, and that's all the arguments we use for employers to help them to take the decisions. And for employees, this is of course more money that they can get at the end of the month, plus the physical activity and what I told you already, no congestion, no need to find a parking place. And well, we developed some arguments that I can send you later if you want. And yeah, and to support the political decision, we want to show that many companies implement the measure. So now we have only 29 companies, but we hope that at the end of the year, and yeah, in February 2017, after 1 year of this, we'll have more companies and we can show the government that it is needed to continue and to make it mandatory. Yeah, the 2011 recipients, that's the number of people who now in France receive this money for biking to work, but maybe there are more people, but we don't know them. I forgot to mention that this observatory is we are not state agency or whatever. We are an NGO, so we try to make it famous, but it's not as famous as we would like. So we don't know all companies. Maybe there are some more, but we don't know them yet. I don't know if there are other questions. If no, I can switch to cycling made in France and tell you more about it. Or let me. Oh no, there is another question. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to the this. So as I told you, you get 0.25 euros per kilometer for cycling to work, and you have to calculate the number of kilometers you bike every day. And if you bike a lot and you calculate, you can see that it can be very expensive for the company to pay you for this. So what they did is to set up this limit, this upper limit of 200 euros per year, for which the employers are free of charges and the employee, are free of taxation. So if your company set up this IKV, they can decide either to set up the maximum at 200 euros per year, so they don't pay anything for it, no charge, and you don't pay taxes. Or they can decide to invest a little bit more, and they set up the maximum as, well, for example, 400 euros or 1,000, whatever, and they are going to pay charges on this. So this is, and we have seen that many companies have put the maximum at 400 euros or 500 because they agree to pay from their pocket so that people bike to work. That's the idea. So this is not, well, this is a way to see if companies want to really help people to bike to work, or if they just want to allow you to do it. That's the difference. And it would be nice to have an upper limit which is higher than 200 euros, because with the 200 euros you can cover your cost, for example, small reparation on a bike or buy a new tire, whatever. But with 300 euro or 400 euro, maybe you can have a better bike and be more safe. Yeah, basically. And yeah, I don't know if there are other questions. Okay, so yeah, that's a very good question. How to validate the individual commitment? So what we are doing now, we are two organizations working on this observatory. My organization and ADEM, which is a government agency, and they are the one who did the evaluation of the experimentation. So we are developing how to do it, guidebook basically. And we give some advices to companies about the evaluation. So what we told them is it is very difficult to check if people really bike to work every morning. So you can either randomly take pictures of the bike on the bike parking. And if you have, let's say, 20 people who say they bike to work and you see only 10 bikes, then you know there is a problem. So that's a way of randomly seeing if people really bike to work. And you can also ask people to check between themselves. So if you know there are, like the same example, 20 people biking, and you can ask the group of cyclists, and if they say no, we are only 2 every morning, you know that there is also a problem. There is not really methodology for checking if people really bike to work. That's more, yeah, you have to trust your employees. And we did it in my organization, this, and what we say is we declare the number of kilometers we bike every month, but plus or minus 1 or 2 days, because sometimes it's rain, sometimes you don't go because you're sick or whatever. So instead of saying you bike every day, you say you bike almost every day. And so it makes it easier to calculate at the end of the year how much you can get. And we also developed a kind of a tool on Excel, which helps people to directly calculate the amount they have to pay at the end of the month. Okay, I have another question. The company pays. Yeah, it's not the French government. So the French government is involved because for the money that they're going to give you, they don't get tax on it. But that's the only thing where they are involved. The money comes from the money of the company. It's like a bonus at the end of the year or at the end of the month. And if it goes, if this indemnité kilométrique vélo goes to the public government, yeah, like as I told you, the public service doesn't have it yet. Then the French government, the French state is going to pay for this. But since it's only for the private sector yet, it's paid by companies. Well, we don't know if it's going to be mandatory. Our work is to make it mandatory. So we are going to try to lobby for it because it's our job to lobby for things for people to cycle more. And so maybe at the end of this year, because we have some new laws and finance, but as you probably know, there will be election in France in 2017 in May, and we're probably going to have a new government. So we don't really know how it's going to be next year. Maybe it's going to be mandatory at the end of the year. I'm not sure. we will have to wait for 2017 and the new government to be in place to start lobbying again for this. So we don't know yet, but as I told you, it exists, so that's already a good thing for companies and for employees, because if they start to bike to work, they can ask their employers to give them money for it. It's a question of time. There are more and more people cycling in France, and we are spreading the word about this measurement. So sooner or later, it's going to be normal for companies to pay you for cycling, as it is normal to pay you 50% of your public transportation ticket. Yeah, I don't know if that's clear for people, that in France you get 50% of the public transportation ticket paid by your company, but that's something we have. And let me see if there are other questions. Yeah, there is also this, so there is a question about fiscal support to companies that create bicycle system to workers. Yes, there is one. So in February, there was a big law on green energy and ecological transition, and we had these two new measurements. The one that I told you about, IKV, and the one about fiscal support for companies who give basic bicycles to the employees. So that's a very specific one. For companies who give for free bikes to their employees, so they don't really give them. It means that you can use a bike for free, but they don't give it to you. You can use it for your commute, for work commute, but not to go from home and to your company. It's only, instead of having a car company, you can have a bike company, let's say. And for companies who do this, they can get fiscal reduction of 25% of the price of the service. So usually they buy a service which contains bikes plus the maintenance, maybe also a little bit of teaching, like how to behave in the circulation. So that's a whole package of service. And the companies who do this, who buy the service or who just buy bikes and let the people use them, can get 25% of fiscal reduction on the cost of this service. So it's a way to tell company that they don't only, they can also have more services than just car for their salary, their employees. To get more company. Okay, the question is, how do we lobby? Okay, how do we do the lobby? Well, it's a very long work. So this is a little bit related to what I'm going to explain you later, the Cycling Made in France platform. So first, we decided to talk to the people we already know, so organization who promote cycling and all these people, because they have a network and they know companies. So we have this first, this public, which is the easy public first. And then we wrote a letter to all the trade unions in France, trade union of employees and also trade union of employers, because you have the two sides. And we managed to get some appointments. So we didn't have the opportunity to discuss with them yet, but this is going to happen next week and in the coming week. And what we want is to tell them about it, and also to tell them about cycling to work in general. So that's a thing. And then what we want to do is to promote it to all the shops, cycling shops. So we are producing a document, an infography, and we already discussed with big shops like Decathlon, or smaller network of shops like Cyclables, which is kind of big in France. And they agreed to put a poster about this. So when people come for buying a bike or advices or buying something, they can get also information about this, and maybe they are going to ask their employers if they can get this reimbursement. So yeah, that's the first steps. And the biggest step is that, so as I told you, we are a network of cities, and many cities told us that they want to implement this indemnité, IKV. So there are like 10 cities like Paris, Bordeaux, Rennes, and many other big cities who want to do it. So we are pushing so that it becomes also a possibility for the public service to have this indemnity. Yeah, that's how we lobby. So it's a huge work. We still need time to go further. Yeah. Okay. Any fiscal that create. Okay, let me. Yeah, we involve also the local association. As I told you, they are usually in the local association you have those who push more to have this indemnity in their companies. So the 29 companies I mentioned, you can see the list on our website, and many of them are related to bike. So that's the first company who implemented the indemnité kilométrique vélo. And yeah, in local association, so as I told you, we are producing documents, and we are going to spread them all around so that people can go and ask about getting reimbursed. And we also answer to many questions, because we had a lot of press when this was released in February, and we also did some press conference. So we have a lot of people asking us, how can I do it? So we give them advices. And, yeah. I don't know if there are other questions. So there is a question about cross-link integration with public transport pass. And yes, well, this is how to say, public transport. In France, you have many cities who have a system of renting, bicycle renting. So in these cities, you can have your well, not in many cities, but you can use the same pass you use for public transport as you can use the same for renting a bike. So it's the case in Paris, for example, and also in other cities like Belfort or other cities. But this is not very well. It's not the case for everyone. And but yeah, that's something I forgot to mention. This is possible. It is possible to, well, they don't consider the bike you use, so you can use either your bike or the one you rent from this public service. But this, yeah, yet we are not really into crossing it with the public transport thing. Yeah. But yeah, I can mention that if you bike to the train station, for example, you can be paid for the distance you bike and for the public transport you get. So it's a good way also to help people to bike to the station and not to drive to the station. Yeah. Any other question? With local authorities. Yeah. So we are at the very beginning of this indemnité kilométrique vélo. So yet we don't really, well, since it's not, it's the, how do you call it? It's the responsibility of the companies to do it. So what we hope is that if companies implement it, they are also going to improve the quality of the infrastructure for cyclists in the company. That's one point. And we, as a network of cities, are also helping cities to improve the cycling infrastructure in general. So this is happening all at the same time. You have on the one side this, which is more of the private initiative, I would say, for companies, and on the other side, the fact that yeah, you have more cyclists today in France, and that the cycling infrastructure has to be improved. So of course we try to make it going at the same time and at the same speed, and we hope that it's going to work. But this is very different timing. So for this, this is just money that your company gives you at the end of the month. So your company can decide to implement it even if there are no cycling infrastructure. That's a problem, I know, but this is possible. And if like for cities to improve the cycling infrastructure, it takes a little bit more than just deciding to pay people at the end of the month. So what we hope is that, and it already started like 10, 20 years ago, that cities improve the infrastructure, but this is something that we have to continue. And we also try to tell companies that it's not only about giving people money at the end of the month, it's also having safe cycling parking infrastructure, and maybe the possibility to take a shower and all this. So that's in the whole package of arguments we developed to help companies to implement this. But yeah, there is a little problem of timing because this doesn't go at the same speed. And yeah, that's more general. I guess you have the same thing in Portugal, but we don't only have companies in the center of cities, so there is a huge need to develop cycling in peri-urban areas. where people are kind of forced to take their car. And that's something we are working on with many other people. But this is a big challenge for the future, to develop cycling in peri-urban areas. Yeah. Let me wait. Okay. How we are funded? We get money from the cities who are part of our network. So the money they get, it's calculated on the size of the population. So that's one part of the revenue. And we also develop some specific actions, like, for example, this observatory, we get some money from the ADEME, which is a government agency. And we also do some studies from which we get money from the environmental ministry. We have different source of funding, but the main source is the cities which are member of our organization. And we also now have some money from private companies, because we launched this platform in 2016, sorry. But this is a very small amount of money, but that's also something we have. It's mainly public money, yeah. And we are 3 people, yeah. I don't know if there are other questions on this. Shall I switch to the platform and explain you more about it? Okay. Okay. No more questions. Let me move to the platform then. Okay, so that's something we launched. Well, okay, here. So we call it Cycling Made in France. The idea of this platform is to have actors from the whole cycling business in France. What I mean is that we have yet people who do just, they are bike manufacturers, but you have a big potential of services in France for bikes, and this is increasing a lot. And those people, they were not represented by any organization. And since they mainly work for the cities and we represent the cities, we decided to put our strengths together. That's basically the idea. So in 2016, we launched it. We call it Plateforme du vélo et des mobilités actives. So the name is Platform of Bikes and Active Mobility. And we did this name, Cycling Made in France. Because cycling, we'll choose an English name because in the long term, the idea is to do a French cycling embassy, but that's the long term. And also because cycling is more general than vélo in French. And yeah, sorry, the slides are moving now. And so the idea is to strengthen the lobby for cycling, because the more we are, the stronger we are, of course. And to represent the diversity of the bike industry. So we have people, for example, who manufacture cargo bike, other people manufacturing parking solution, because this is a huge part of the bike ecosystem. Well, wait, you said? Is no, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this works. I have only a few slides for this. And we have also service providers. So these people, they are, for example, the one who do shared bike system in cities, or the one who rent bikes in companies, or the one who teach bike, because this is also possible. And the idea is that these people, they have a different idea of what's happening in the mobility world. So it's not only people who do bikes for mountain bikes or sport bikes. It's the one who are their work basically is more related to bike as a tool of mobility. So that's what we try to do with this platform. And so it's relatively new. What we did so far, well, we have a newsletter, so we kind of we give news from all these companies and how they work and what do they do. And we did many publication of infography or that kind of things to show that cycling in France is a big economic sector. So that's one of the main goals, to show that bike is also economy. It's not only transportation and urban planning and like reducing CO2 and all this. It's also a very strong economic sector, which is mainly local. For example, the services I mentioned, renting bikes in a city, this is local and that cannot move to China or another country. So that's a bit the idea. That's why we call it cycling made in France. And yeah, we also do some lobbying. So like representing the interest of this industry in formal meetings and asking for appointment at the Ministry of Industry and that kind of thing. And so the step 2, I would say, that we are going to do in coming months is to produce studies together. So we don't really know yet which is going to be the topic, but we want to see, for example, how young people use the bike. It is very important for us to know, for example, if they bike or not, because if they don't, the whole work we are doing is kind of it's not useless, but it is important to have young people on bikes now so that they can continue to bike later. So that's a big subject of interrogation for us, and also about inequalities and maybe much more cost relative studies and that kind of thing. And yeah, that's the list. Well, this is not the whole thing, but we have 18 companies now in the platform. So I don't know if you know the name, but let me check it for the question. And so the question is, bicycle is only a part of the mobility and future smart cities. If we are playing with other people, this platform we are developing, we are also, how to explain? We as a network of cities are working with other big actors of the public transport in France. So I'm maybe not going to quote the name, but there is one, maybe you know, RATP, which is the public transport agency in Paris, the one who are running the metro. And we are also working with the SNCF, which is the train thing in France. and we are working with them because they need also the results that we are going to show about the benefits of bikes and all these things, because they cannot consider the bike as a concurrence. It goes together with public transportation. That's how we see the future, and it's well, it brings them clients basically, and yeah, we work with them, and for some studies, I think we are going to study also the impact of bikes and public transportation together. We don't focus on bikes and cycling only. We always try to see the big picture of mobility. Well, I don't know if it was clear. Yeah. And I forgot to mention that we also foster. Well, we also work with associations who promote walking in the city. So this is not very easy to promote, because well, you cannot pay people for walking, for example. But yeah, we it's not only cycling and public transportation, it's also walking. It's active mobility in general that we are trying to promote. And yeah, the other question is the bike industry open to fund the movement at an early stage? Yeah, well, we hope so, but it is too early to say. They appreciate the work we are doing because well, there was nothing before like this. There was a trade union for bike manufacturers only, but not for the other actors of cycling in France. And we don't know yet if they want to fund it really with a lot of money. Well, yeah, we don't know yet, but we hope so. And this is probably going to happen in other countries as well, like in Portugal or at the European level. I don't know if there are other questions. Oh yeah, the work with school and universities. We are not very good at it yet. So we work with scholars because they publish really interesting studies and we know them quite well. But in France now, well, you don't really have universities working on this topic of cycling and transport issues. You have many diploma degrees and urban studies in general, but not really on cycling studies, I would say, which exists in the Netherlands or in Denmark. So that's, I think, could be really interesting for us in the future, but we don't really work with universities yet. And yeah, well, we already worked with on projects which involved universities. And I think it's going to happen in the future again. So like with Rennes or other cities which really develop that kind of programs where they study what is happening in the city but that's not really, well, I cannot tell you more about it because we don't have a big plan yet. You said it's trying to get arguments for the we can. Okay, the arguments. Yeah, let me go back to this. We have a parliamentary group, as I explained you earlier. So it's approximately 100 MPs in the two chamber of the parliament. In France, you have two chambers, the National Assembly and the Senate. So what we are going to do in November, December to coming next month is to write, call it in English, amendment. So we are going to send to our 100 MPs texts that they can to help them to pass this in the law of finance. So the idea is that they have the right to improve the text, which is going to come from the government. We are going to send them some arguments and to try to have this voted by the National Assembly and the Senate. That's one thing for the lobbying. That's the parliamentary lobbying, and this is a very well, we don't pay our MPs to pass these arguments. We just send them things and we ask them to work. So that's really very simple lobbying. And we also well, we have relatively well, we have contacts also with some government officials, not so often, but they know what we say. And yeah, we want to show them that many companies asked questions, that many companies decide to pay their employers to bike to work. So this is not very clear yet. We don't know exactly what kind of data we are going to collect, but yeah, that's the idea about the lobbying, the arguments. Which cities do you compare? Where is the data? Well, the data come from all over France. We have a website where companies can declare if they implement this indemnity, and we have people calling us from all over France. It's not only cities which are part of our organization. We work for everyone, and yeah, you can have the list of the cities which are member of organization on our website. We have most of the big cities in France, except a few cities because they, for political reasons mainly, because they don't want to encourage the use of bike. And yeah, we are 1,500 cities, which is huge. But you know, in France, you have a lot of cities. Well, cities or local authorities. But most of the metropolis and we also have regions, and so we work for, what we produce is for everyone. It's open source documents. And, yeah. One of them, did you have any approach and take from a marketing player to say? Well, no, not yet. Well, as I told you, we are kind of small. We are only 3 people working yet. So no, we don't have any approach of telecom or marketing player, but it's a very good idea. Yeah. I don't know if it's the case in Portugal. Yeah, we didn't do it yet. I don't know if there are other questions. Is in Europe I can still. Okay. Well, the French government, to be very honest, does not really invest a lot of money in cycling. So by now we have kind of 200 people getting this IKV. So at the end of the year, it's not going to be a huge amount of money at the end of 2016, I mean. But what I can tell you is that the amount of money which could be saved by promoting the use of bike because of the health benefits and less CO2, less congestion, and all this is in France 5 billion per year. So that's the amount of money which could be saved. But investing in this IKV, so indemnité, represent, I would say, maybe 1 million maximum if the government implement it in the public administration. Well, that's a big number, but the benefits are really bigger than the cost. If the bike industry is open to fund the movement, yeah, well, I think they are, but we need to explain them a little bit more about the benefit of urban cycling in their industry. So, well, the bike industry in France is not as big as the car industry. It's maybe 40 companies, 50, 20, well, 40, 50 companies. So yeah, they are open to the idea, but they need some more time maybe to really fund the lobbying, to start lobbying as well. But we are trying to do it with them. I don't know if there are other questions. Even if it's not related to this platform, I don't know if you... Thank you. So I'm going to stop now. Thank you for listening, and I will also send the PowerPoint to Jose so you can have all the information, and he's going to give you my email if you need. I'm at your disposal to give you more information. Thank you.